I just finished The Office finally after I think like 2.5, almost 3 months. Such a good TV show. Probably one of my favorite ever. Exactly my style of humor, and such a great story and amazing characters. And I had a thought that was interesting to me that it's easy to see that it's easy to assume that the story is focused on Jim and Pam, their love story and coming into their own. But at the end, maybe a lot of people agree with me, but my thoughts are that maybe the story is all about Dwight. Maybe that he's the main character, because he starts off as this kind of annoying bad guy, kind of like the Sasuke. Like he's like this guy, the nemesis of the main character, Jim, and he's always doing these things, and Jim's pranking him. But then over time, you start to see Dwight's humanity, and from the beginning, he's always loved the paper company. He's always loved Dunder Mifflin. He would do anything for them, and then slowly over time, you see him putting the needs of his coworkers before his own, and going out of his way to help them and do the right thing. And along the way, he stumbles and falls, and he gets temporary power grabs, and then he messes it up when he becomes interim regional manager, and then has an accident and loses it, and has these sort of bouts with failures. But then Jim and Pam are always there to help him out and have his back. And same thing with Dwight. He has their back, and he has his other coworkers' back. And so you kind of go through this hero's journey for Dwight. And at the end, when he has his happy ending, his fairy tale ending, and then it's so satisfying because you see that this guy deserved it all because of his heart for people. And I think that's the thought I have, is that what you love about not only Dwight, but even Michael for a long time, even since the first season, is that even though they might be flawed humans, and we all are, you can't help but love them, fall in love with them because of their heart, because of their compassion, because they care for others. It's like that saying, you don't care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think characters who really care about others are characters that we inherently want to root for, and we want them to succeed. And so you can see that in Michael, and you see that in Dwight, and obviously Jim and Pam and everyone else. You can tell that they really care for each other and see each other as a family. And so I really love that about all the characters, and especially Dwight. How like he, even though he's flawed, I think we see a lot of ourselves in those flawed characters. All of the characters are flawed, obviously. They're all quirky and weird in their own way. Nobody's perfect. You might be able to make an argument that, Jim is the most perfect. Of course, he has his flaws too. He falls off the horse and he gets back on. And same thing with Pam. But, they're the most perfect, I guess, because you just can't help but love them, and you can empathize with them because you see their struggles and you see how being hurt affects their decisions and their actions. But especially, I think Dwight, he comes across as one of the most flawed, and Michael too. But then you kind of see yourselves in those characters as, hey, I'm flawed too, and I make these mistakes, but I'm worthy of love as well. And we all just want fundamentally the same things. We just want connection with others. We want to be liked and loved, and we want to feel important and make a difference. I think that's what really Michael teaches us a lot of, that even if you're flawed, and even if you do the wrong things, we all just want the same things, and we all just want love, and there's always someone out there for us, and people around us care about us. Same thing with Jim, and same thing with Dwight. There's these moments where you think that it's hopeless for either of them, or especially for Dwight, and he goes through this roller coaster of things, but in the end, you can't help but be like, yeah, he's freaking weird, just like Michael, but you can see why they're manager. You can see why people care about them and root for them. Same thing with Andy too. When Andy at one point was manager for a while, he's the kind of guy who's genuine. The reason why he was appointed that is because the CEO thought he was the kind of guy that people root for. He was honest, he was straightforward, very surface level, because people would rally around that. And even though ultimately he wasn't mature enough to handle it, he still was a good leader to begin with throughout his time. So maybe that's the thought of the days. Is one, it's such a great show. Two, I love the characters, which I guess goes part with number one. But three, when it comes to characters, or when it comes to people and characteristics that make you love them, I think it's that characteristic that we all have our strengths, but we all especially have our weaknesses, and we are all flawed. But if our heart is in the right place and we care about others and the people around us, that's what makes for a good story, a good character, and someone that you fall in love with and want to root for. So I guess that's the thought for the day.